unique, and I'm coming to you from a place that you need to believe that you have a master builder, that you literally have a creator that made you, and that you are a masterpiece. All right, we're going to talk about this. This literally changed the Hoffman family. So we learned, this is a Miles Monroe. This, again, we're sticking with what he taught us because we're on a road of honoring him, but also showing you what he did to the Hoffman family. You've seen Brielle. She got started 6 months. She was ED. She's never missed ED in the last 14 months since she's been ED. How is that happening? Why did a 23-year-old go to ED? Why are the Hoffmans platinum? So today you're going to hear why. And you may not never have heard information I'm going to share with you today. But I feel like if I don't tell you the way it really is and how we really did it, I'm going to rob you of your potential breaking out of average. So let's think about, first of all, if you are a creator and you made a Ferrari, you don't want a Ferrari to go 20 miles an hour. That would be a disgrace to the truth about that Ferrari. The Ferrari was made with an engine and force, and it can go faster. So to create something, if you're the owner of Ferrari and you created a Ferrari and it's going 20 miles an hour, that would be like less than its purpose to be. Inside the design of your Ferrari, you have a certain engine, you have all these pistons, you have all these things that make it go 200 miles. Well, you don't want to go 200 miles an hour, but definitely don't want to go 20 on a highway. So that would be a bummer. And so a lot of you are a 10. But you are acting like a 2, maybe a 4, maybe a 6, maybe an 8. So if you're an 8 and you're meant to be a 10, you're still below par. You're not what you're meant to be. We're going to call that average. Now the problem with this concept of breaking out of average is a lot of times you get comfortable in your average. You actually believe you are average. And so if your mindset says you are what your facts are, and facts are everything you've done up until today. Okay, so those are facts. But are they the truth? And we're going to say, you know, how do you know if what you are as of today is your very best? How do you know if you were to take a snapshot of your life and everything you've accomplished up until today, are you a 6 out of 10? Or are you a 2 out of 10? Or are you a 10 out of 10? And how do you know?
Darcy?
Yeah?
Darcy, you know, we still see a black screen.
Oh.
So, yeah. You have slides going on?
Wow.
I see breaking at average. All right, here we go. I just saw some masks. Okay, here we go. All right, good.
What do you see now?
I see like these masked people, and then the little like 3 pictures all the way across. Now a brick wall. Now I see black, blank.
You see a guy moving around with his hands up in the air?
No, back to the black screen with breaking out of average on the bottom.
Wow. Okay, I'm just going to stick here, everyone.
Okay, stop. All right, stop. Now I see a brick.
Okay.
For some reason, when you go large, it doesn't. It's only showing like a black screen.
Right.
But now I see the brick wall, and I see your other slides.
All right. Well, the Facebook is over to the left, and I can't refresh it while I'm doing the training. So we're going to go with this concept here, where you can see my screen. And here we go.
Yep.
It's a little bit smaller. I don't know what that's all about, but here's we'll just keep going. All right. So you can see it raw, and let me do this. Hold on. Sorry, everyone. Wow. Okay, there you go. Everybody see that?
Yeah, we see a brick wall.
All right, so here's we're going to get started. Now you see 3 faces. Last week we talked about the movie, The Man in the Iron Mask, and he was in a mask, but he really was born to be a king. He was a king, actually, and the jealous second brother, they came out as twins. The second brother realized he would never be king because the way the law works is the first one that comes out, if they're twins, is king. So he took this king right here and put him in an iron mask and threw him in a cave for his whole life. So some of the king's men found out this happened. They took the mask off of him, and this is what he looked like when they took the mask off. For 10, 15 years, he was stuck in a cave with this mask on, not knowing he was really a king. So this is the whole message today, is you don't know what you are. So maybe what you think is what you've produced, the facts you have today, you think that's who you are. And I am here to tell you that God is wanting to restore you to whatever was stolen. And everyone has a story. Something has been stolen. It could be your wealth. It could be your self-image. It could be your confidence. It could be your faith that you can be married and have a happy marriage based on some things. It could be that when you go out there to the marketplace and you present something, nobody cares about you. Nobody wants to listen to you. You've got things going on in your head, and you might feel like this as you go to the marketplace with Legal Shield. You might feel like this when you go and try to recruit somebody and share the story. So what has been stolen? And the thing is, when you go to create success for yourself, if you've got a root problem, if you've got a false idea of yourself, and you're trying to push success out of your life, it's like trying to get lemonade out of a cup of coffee. It's not inside of you. It's filled. The cup is filled with coffee, not lemonade. So you can't get out of something what is not in it. So if what's in you is the concept that you are less than what you truly are, my whole goal today is for me to reveal to you, literally, not like a hypey thing, not like a, hey, let me motivate you. I want to reveal to you that you literally were made to reign. Reign in your gifting. Reign in your area of skill. Reign to the level 10 that you were designed to be. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be me, or you're going to be Brian Carruthers, or you're going to be Darnell Self. That's not what you were born to be. You were born to be you, but you were born to be you at a level 10. All right, so what if you're a 2 or a 4 or a 6? How do we get to the truth about who we are? So if you're fact right now, if you were to rate yourself, and you were to say I'm a 6, so now what are we going to do about it? So let's go in to figure out how in the world does this happen. Now we can see from this guy, he was thrown in a cave, thrown a mask on him, and that's how he lost his identity. But how did it happen to you? And I'm going to show you a little trick about, first of all, the truth. The greatest enemy of man is ignorance of himself. So if you don't know who you really are, and you go out there and you're trying to do life, do success, you're literally, you're hitting a barrier, that wall that's over here that actually somebody comes out of, and it's awesome, but we can't get that animation going. But our original design and purpose, let's look at that. God said, let us make man, that means you, in our image. Wow. After our likeness. That means you're made to look and act like God. So you're not a peon. You're not worthless. You're not somebody that doesn't succeed. You're not somebody that's incomplete. You're literally made in the image of this God who is all-powerful, all-knowing, full of wisdom. Everything in him went into you. So you're made after his image, after his likeness. That's the original purpose. We're talking about original purpose. And let them, that means you, them, man, have dominion. Whoa-ho, whoa-ho, them. So I never understood this. I always thought I was just, walking around the earth, da-da-da-da-da, and whatever happens, happens, whatever fate is going to happen. I didn't realize that I had dominion over my destiny. I could take this image that I was born to be walking in and then live it out. And so God made man to be like him and to have dominion over circumstances, our destiny, our gifts, but not other people. And let me give you a litmus test. Let's say somebody comes up to you and they are bossing you around. They are demanding that you do something. They're putting dominion over the top of you. It could be a bad police officer that has an attitude. It could be somebody that you've met, and the way that they're talking to you is they're dominating you. And something inside you goes, irk. It's like something sets off inside you that you don't like what is going on right here. You don't like when that person is taking dominion over you. And the secret reason is that you were never made to have a person have dominion over you. That is not in the original plan. But you are to have dominion over your habits, over your thinking, over your circumstances, and all your destiny and your gifts. So you're responsible for you. You're not responsible for somebody else. You're responsible for you. So you need to understand this is the way it was set up. This is the plan. This is how the Ferrari has 5 gears. All right, you don't just go to gear 2. So if you're going to gear 2 because you don't know the purpose or the design of a product, you're not going to get to the full potential of the Ferrari because you're only going to gear 2. So that's kind of like we have to know we were made to actually be in the image of this great God and to have dominion. So you're not to be under your circumstances. When you meet somebody and you say, man, I'm under the circumstance. Well, you weren't born to be under the circumstance. You were born to walk on the water. So there's one changing the way you think. Now, the next thing is there's a truth. Here's the very beginning, and God says to man, do not eat from the tree of good and evil. Now listen to this. For the day you eat it, you will die for sure. Okay, so here's what God's saying to man. You're going to die if you eat from this tree. Now, the thing is, he could eat from any other tree in the whole garden, but he's told not to eat from this tree. So that's what God says, all right? So let's go forward and find out what in the world happened here, all right? And write these 3 things down. I'm going to teach you 3 things about how the breakdown of truth, because this applies to your life. First, the enemy comes and puts doubt. Now, the serpent said to the woman, did God say, did he really say, I mean, are you sure? You shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So the first thing is to cast doubt. Can you really succeed in Legal Shield? Do you really think anybody wants this service? Do you really think you're a good presenter? Do you really think anybody on your team will ever do anything? Doubt, doubt, doubt. Do you really think you have the skill set? Do you really think people care? Do you really think that you're ever going to make it? Doubt, doubt, doubt. It's talking to you. Now I want to look at, now the serpent said to the woman, first of all, when people come to you, the reason I have this underlined in the first breakdown of truth is that people are going to come and talk to you, and you shouldn't talk back to them. Don't let certain people come into your life, come into your thinking, plant seeds into who you are that don't really care about where you're going. So you've got to protect like a city with a wall around it. Like Rome used to have this big old city around it, and it protected it because the protection of that wall is so enemies can't come in and destroy the city. Well, you need a protection of who you are, who's in your environment, who is talking to you. So here's the first problem. This serpent thing is talking to this woman, and it's making the woman doubt. All right, so now we go to phase 2, confusion. So now that she even let that person, that thing, talk to her, now she's talking back. And the woman said to the serpent, oh, okay. So the first thing is don't let certain people in your life. Second thing, don't even have conversations with them. Now she's in a conversation with this terrible, terrible enemy of her life. And the serpent, she says back, oh, you can't eat of the tree, but neither shall you touch it lest you die. Well, let's go back to this. Did God say, neither shall you touch it? He just said, don't eat from it. If you eat from it, you will die. So now she's confused. She doesn't even know what the truth is anymore. So now she's saying, don't eat it and don't even touch it. That's not the truth. She's totally confused now. So first she allowed doubt, and then she's allowing something to be talking to her that should never be talking to her. Now she's confused. And then third phase of the breakdown of truth comes the lie. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. And then here's the big lie. For God knows that in the day you eat, your eyes will be open, and you shall be as God. Okay? You shall be as a God. So here's the serpent coming and putting doubt, then confusion. Now she doesn't even know what the truth is, and she's misquoting God. And now it's the lie. You will not die. Out and out lie. So the lie of your life does not come to you as a straight out lie. It comes to you first with doubt, and then you're getting a little confused, and then you actually accept the lie. And now the real problem of this whole program about trying to be successful in your business and in your life is you actually think the lie is a truth. So many of you actually have bought into this lie because if it was not deception, you would say, ooh, get away from me, this is a lie. But because you were deceived, you actually are walking in the pattern of a 2 or a 6 or a 4 rather than the pattern in the thinking patterns of a 10 that you were created to be, because the master builder does not make anything but a masterpiece, which is you. You are a masterpiece. So what is the problem? This is the problem right here. Something, I don't know what, you got to think, and I want you to write these 3 things down and say, what made me doubt myself? Where did the confusion come from, and what lies do I believe? So you're going to kind of go through this. Now this part here and this lie part, first of all, you shall surely not die. And if you go back here, he said, yes, you will. The day that you eat, you will die. So that's the opposite of truth right there. But if you don't know the truth, and if you've gotten confused with the truth, you're actually, so you don't really know how to say no and resist that lie. The other thing is up here, God said, let us make man in our image. So man was made to be like God, right here. They're in our image, after our likeness, so we're supposed to look and talk and think and all that. Everything in us was made from the master builder, and he put it in us. And here the liar is coming and saying that you shall be as a God. So they already were like God because they were made in his image, but he is lying. So self-doubt, let's go to the next thing. Well, the question is here, what baggage do you carry that is weighing you down? So here's maybe a lie that I can never speak on stage and be a presenter. Maybe this baggage is a lie that everyone in my family, the most anybody made is $40,000, so I can never make more than that. Who knows what you're carrying, what baggage you're carrying, but here is the big problem, is this part right here. Have you become comfortable with this baggage? And what I mean by comfortable, when I work with people, I am breaking them out of comfortable. I am breaking, my whole book, my habits book, talks about being uncomfortable. And one of the things about being uncomfortable, when this guy got out of the mask, and right there, this is how he feels about himself. And they had to teach him how to walk, talk, think, act, dress, everything like a king that he already was. He already was a king. He just didn't believe it. And he didn't have the skill sets, and he didn't have the thinking patterns of a king. But he truly was born to be a king. So there's the deal with you. You are born to succeed. You are born to reign. You were born in the image and likeness of God, but you don't even believe it because you keep looking at all the stuff you've done or the lack of production. So we need to stop looking that way and start looking at truth. So this is the baggage. You have to look at what is your baggage and what did you become comfortable with and get uncomfortable. And so here's an analogy I want you to think about. Let's say I come to your house and I am a home builder. I come in and I make houses better. What is that called? A home improvement company. So I come in and you're going to redo your kitchen. So I want you to think of the word restoration. God is into the restoring business. So when you restore your kitchen, the first thing we do is get a plan, a design of what it's supposed to look like. And then we tear out all those cabinets and sink, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. When you restore something, at first you're tearing things out, and it gets messy. So this comfortableness, you have to say to yourself, I am done with my old kitchen. I am done with those cabinets. They have been carrying all this baggage. I am ripping them out, and I am restoring this kitchen to its beautiful design it's meant to be. So when you go through a restoration process, it gets a little messy, and it gets totally, you're gutting and taking things out and then putting the new in. So the things we're taking out, you've got to make a list. You got to make a list. What is not really me? In the original design of my life, from the master planner, who created a masterpiece, a Ferrari that would run its true, be the full car that it was meant to be, that be the 10 it was designed to be. What is the baggage that I'm believing that is not true, and you need to deal with that. So that's taking the restoration of a kitchen, taking out the old cupboards and stuff. All right, because self-deception is the biggest barrier to your success. Ignorance of self is the root of all of man's frustrations and the heart of his dilemma. The lies you believe are blocking your ability to succeed. And the problem is you don't know they're a lie until somebody, I could go through story after story after story of people that come to me, and I can tell by the fruit in their life that they are believing lies, okay, because their fruit produces. Whatever you have for fruit, your income, your family, your marriage, your parenting, So if you have kids that are just crazy, then something in you as a parent, you are ignorant of something. You're lacking a truth that can, because you were designed to be a great parent. You were designed to be a great spouse. You were designed to be a successful business person. So if you're not having the success in Legal Shield that you want, you've got to say why. And it could be the principles that we've taught, and it's like I want to put 20 years in you right now, but it could be, am I thinking about the person I'm in front of, or am I thinking about getting a commission? And you've heard us say, are you mission-minded or commission-minded? So if you're mission-minded and you're thinking about you're serving, you're not looking to be served, it says, given it shall be given unto you. So you're giving a great presentation, you're thinking about another person, and it comes back to you in favor. It comes back to you in blessing. It comes back to you in commission. It comes back to you in a satisfied customer. It comes back to you in referrals. And those referrals open up to companies and new associates and new opportunities. And pretty soon you went from, performance clubs, Power 20 to ED, and you're staying there because your foundation, you know who you are, you know why you were made, you know how to treat people, you know what the principles are, so you're going out there. But if you're deceived and you have been taught, get the shortest way to the top, cut a corner, they're never going to know. Nobody sees that you didn't follow up with that customer. Nobody sees that you don't use the marketing retention system. Nobody, who cares about that? Do I really need to do that? Do I need to be consistent? If I say I'm going to the briefing and I don't show up, does it really matter? Do those little principles really matter? And I'm here to tell you that the little things are the big things. The little things are the big things. And if you're skipping all the little things, that's the reason you don't have the big things. And you're wanting the big things, but you're not committed to the little things. And it's the little things. If I can, God says, if I can trust you in the little things, I will trust you in the big. So in order to go to the executive director, the director position, and more, you need to really come to a point that self-deception is things like, I can get by in life being average in my thinking. That's not true. You're deceived. I can succeed and become an executive director without treating my clients with superior service. That's not true. You might get lucky. You might get an account that is okay, and they don't really, but you're not going to get referrals. You're not going to get blessings. So we can't be deceived. Let's go on. All right, this is a word you hear, repent. You might freak some people out that I'm using it on a webinar, but I want to tell you what the word means. Okay, here's where this. Here's the king. That's what he was born as. He fell from his position to be a guy in a cave, and this is what he looked like, and then he was restored back to his position. So means to go back. Redo something, go back and do it again. All right? Recreate something, go back and create it again. Means go back. Pent means top position. If I'm in a penthouse, I'm in the top house in the building. Penthouse is top position. So when you go back, when you repent, you're going back to your top position. You're not, oh my gosh, I'm so terrible, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. You are acknowledging the truth about who you are and going back to that top position of what you were created to be. So that's going to hopefully blow your mind. So this is what Miles Monroe taught me, and this is what he taught our family, and it changed the way I think. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was never born to be this level of a person. I was never born to think like I'm thinking now. So instead of trying to not think bad and not, just try to fix all the broken stuff, I started to think about the truth. I started to think about what I really was. I started to meditate on like what the master builder said I was created to be. And all my mind and all my thoughts were about the truth about me, and eventually it appeared. Okay, so if you keep thinking about what's wrong with you, it will never disappear. If you repent, go back to what your true position, your true creation, your true masterpiece, and you think about that and nothing more. I don't care what anybody says to you. I don't care what you've done in your life. I don't care how many messes you've made. It does not matter today. If you just stop thinking that way and go back to the top position of what you were made to be, and that becomes your new image. That becomes the image of who you truly are. So when we break free it's going to be by discovering the truth. The only way to stay average is to stay ignorant of your true self. The truth about you is the key. It is the key to your personal freedom and your success in Legal Shield. Because people are like, why are you not talking about a three-way call and how to make a presentation and all these kind of things? Because I can guarantee you, if you get this about yourself, if you get that you're a winner, if you get that you're literally designed to succeed and you believe it, okay, not hype and emotion and yay, yay, yay. I'm talking about the truth, the real deal. This is not, you know, like I'm not trying to pump you up. I'm literally delivering the truth about you. So our purpose really is we're God's man in God's place. We're like on earth for him, doing his work in his way for his glory. And if you've got that, then you can think, well, what is his glory? So when I am motivated, when Brielle's going out in the marketplace or John, they're going to St. Louis, for instance, and they're speaking. They're not thinking, oh, we're just going to St. Louis to speak. They're thinking, oh, I am going as God's man in God's place, doing God's work in God's way for his glory. And all of a sudden, this responsibility comes into being. Like when I recruit somebody, I am God's man in God's place, doing God's work in his way. So I need to honor that recruit. I need to help that person become everything. It's not just, oh, I recruited somebody and whatever, whatever. Oh, I have a new group account and I'm going to treat them kind of okay, but not super excellent. Are you kidding? I'm made like this supreme, you know, I'm made in his image, so he is the one that does all things great. And so when you think like that, when you start to put yourself in the top position of what you were made to be, then you're not sloppy and you're not lazy and you're not inconsistent and you're not breaking promises. I will call you and then you don't. I will follow up but you don't. I will go to the meeting but you don't. I will help you and I will train and get better at the consumer folder, but I don't do it that night. I watch a TV show instead. All of those promises you make to yourself is not helping you become what you're meant to be. So, Bob, I'm going to turn it over to you on our road to success. Share the walls you had to break through. What did you have to break through? What was your lie? What was your wall you broke through, and how did you do it? And the final question is, was it worth the fight? So if you want to share that, let's go over to the, if there's any questions here, I will refresh this right now, and we'll see if we have anybody updating on the comments on Facebook, but over to you, Bob.
All right, perfect. Darcy, thank you so much. Folks, we're going to open up the lines here. We'd love to hear from you. This is great feedback for Darcy, of course, as a trainer, to see what's getting through. But here's some thoughts that I have. Number one, Darcy, completely blown away. Again, spaced repetition, just amazing, folks. It's actually sad how 95% of society will never get this. They'll never see this. You know, it's just amazing. I think if we were to put a value on this webinar, folks, it's every bit of thousands of dollars just that these are worth. So please make sure you're getting this out to your team, especially if they can't make the live webinar. It is available there at ShieldNation.com under the webinars. But here's just some thoughts that I'm taking notes. I've got 3 pages of notes here, and I've got a whole journal that I keep all my Friday webinars in, so that way if I ever go to lunch, if I don't have a guest or something, I'm reviewing my notes. You know, it's this constant spaced repetition, and so many nuggets here, Darcy. My gosh, probably just the most important, or top 3 or so. You guys have always trained, you and John, how God has gifted people for success, but society has programmed people for failure, and that comes into that lie portion there, folks, where there's the breakdown of truth. And, you know, you guys have talked about this, and it's so true. I have it in my notes, and it's just so sad that we're just so gifted for unbelievable things, the Ferrari, concept, yet we let society, we let the news and all this other distractions. We just moved into a new place here in Raleigh, and, the utilities, you got to get things turned on, so of course we had to get the internet on. And the guy's like, well, we got this package deal with cable, and you can save money and all that. I said, no, not interested in cable. Not only are we going to save probably $60 a month, but we're probably going to save millions of dollars by not being, just that negativity that comes out of news and and more importantly, folks, not wasting our time sitting in front of the boob tube, as they used to call it back in the day. And, you know, again, when I started this business, ladies and gentlemen, that was one of the first things we did was I got rid of cable TV. And it was probably pretty cruel for our daughter at the time. It was probably, what, 13, you know, no MTV, no none of that stuff, because we had no cable for my first probably 4 or 5 years when I started Legal Shield back then in the early days. And so just really exciting, again, not to have cable. You know, it's forcing us to get out. It's forcing us to meet people. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's really all about, if you truly want to reach your, you know, financial independence, the time freedom that Legal Shield, this vehicle, will give you, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. It's not going to happen in that comfort zone, because I think truly we're where we're at, you know, because of the decisions we've made over the last 5 years. And that's kind of that self-deception, Darcy, that you were just talking about. What a huge barrier to your success. I remember Paul J. Myers, he always used to say, show me your checking account and I'll show you your future. You know, where are you spending your money? You know, Darcy, you and John always talk about how do you spend your time and how do you spend your money. You know, those right there, you've got to get truthful here. You know, what are you doing here? Because what can we do? It's like a binoculars, I think. You're probably just a couple clicks off. And so those are just a couple thoughts here. I don't want to hog the call here. So do me a favor, raise your hand. Love to hear from you here. We'll go ahead and open up your line. Let me see if I see anybody here. But again, folks, this is everyone's call. Okay, this is not just the Bob and Darcy show here today. So let's hear an aha. You know, let's hear maybe a breakthrough that you've gone through. You know, I know myself there in the early days was my why was just never to have a boss ever again. You know, just, God, what would it be like? And that's this business, folks. It's kind of like it's like a green light. You know, you got to have the faith. How do you know that it's okay to go through that green light? Because you have faith. And with Legal Shield, folks, you just got to have faith. It's going to work. It's been working for 40-some years. If you don't believe me, go over to ShieldNation there. Go over to the leadership tab there and look at the folks that this is working for. Okay, if you don't have the faith yet, by all means, you know, borrow our faith because it's working. It's working really good. Let's run out to Mr. Marv Worthy. Marv, love always hearing from you. And what do you got?
Oh, boy, what a powerful webinar. Just Bob reflecting on how true the truth is.
Yeah.
I remember a time in my own development when I was so accustomed to hearing people tell me what I couldn't do and what I wouldn't become, and it became my story. I bought into someone else's story about who I am and what I could or couldn't become. And when I gave my life to Christ, Bob, and understood my true self, you know, I understood that I was under this self-deception, and the barrier in my life was that I had bought into someone else's story. But when I understood that I was ignorant of my true self and understood that I had value, my life changed because I thought differently about myself, because I knew the truth about myself. And so, Darcy, this is the most powerful thing I have ever seen in terms of how you were able to bring it together with such clarity about who we are. And I'll say this to the people on the phone today. When you recognize this truth that has been shared with us this day, today then becomes the first day of the rest of your life. And I promise you, you will see yourself differently, you will act differently, you will move differently, you will behave differently. I mean, it's an amazing thing to finally understand your true self. And so, Bob, that's just all I wanted to share. I'll give it back to you.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Darcy, would you like to respond to any of Mark's comments? It's, you know, the truth shall set you free. So true.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just commented. That's it. I just am so excited because I was like, oh, I just don't know what to do but to tell you the way it is with the Hoffman family. And some people are like, what are you talking about? I don't want to hear about that stuff. And other of you, like I'm looking at Jimmy Ta, and you're like, totally awesome. Now I know what's been holding me back. And truly, literally, I'm telling you, it's like we keep working on the tool, or I need a new tool, or I need a new this or that or whatever. And there's a lot of things I want to teach you in that area too, but I just said if I don't fix this, if I don't bring this truth, this nugget that literally transformed our family, because we have 3 kids, everything they touch, our 3 daughters, that's truly the fruit of this philosophy, this fruit of this foundation that I'm teaching you has transferred into our 3 kids, and they're meeting with success, and everything that they touch literally is so magical and so true and such a foundation if you trust it. And I'm telling you, the greatest place a Ferrari needs to go if it's broken down is the Ferrari shop. The greatest place an Apple computer needs to go if it's broken down is the Apple store. So if you're broken down and there's something that's holding you back, you need to go to the one that made you and say, what's going on here and what is broken and why do I think that way, and get it exposed. Bring the darkness into the light. Say, okay, I'm ready to go forward. And in that token is Steve Hale's line open. I know he's trying to say something out there because he is definitely somebody we've been working with to change the way he thinks from a factory worker to, somebody. Is his line undone, Bob?
Yeah. No, not yet. We've got
okay,
Mr.
there you
Kennedy.
go. Steve, can you talk now?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep. We've been working on this whole webinar has been part of your development with us and our coaching with you. You know, I don't even know what you are at, a 500% increase from last year in sales or something. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening to you. But we would work on these kind of things with Steve, and then he would go out in the marketplace with a new image of himself. And why don't you share your story of where you started and how you got to where you're at now? A new director in the month of October, Steve Hale.
Sure. Thanks, Darcy. Where I started, when I started with Legal Shield, my mission, which really wasn't a mission, I wanted to sell 1 membership a month to pay for my membership. That was it. But after my first year, I kind of got excited after the first month and wanted to have more. But after about the first year, then I got connected to you and John, and really plugged into the ShieldNation training, the online training, the webinars. When I couldn't get on them live, I was watching the archives, and since then, and it's been about 11 months now, it's the 11th month, I think we have more sales this year when I learned how to be a mission marketer. And that came from you and hearing your backstory, and most people probably on this call have seen the video that you guys put up from Orlando, and I didn't even know that was inside me, that story was inside me until I spoke to you about your experiences as a tenant with the business that you owned and the landlord issues, and how you wish you had known about Legal Shield and had a professional presentation and knew what it could do for you. And since then, I have made it my mission to make sure that not only everybody knows about what it is, not only that they know that I do it, but they get a professional presentation so that if they're ever in a situation like I've been in, then they know who to call, and they know there's somebody that they can turn to and there's a solution for the problem.
There he is, Facebook right here. Here is Steve, who just spoke. You want to scroll down to November 17th and see this video. It's unbelievable. So thanks, Steve. Your story is on ShieldNation as a new director, and so now I'm going to go back up to our webinar, but you can go and see that after the webinar. All right, back to you, Bob.
And I just got to say, Steve is the epitome of being coachable. That's just the #1 right there, folks. Anybody who's been successful with Legal Shield, executive directors, ring earners, Millionaire Club members, coachable, not only in the beginning, but during the middle, and still coachable even when they've made it. And so that's just, ask yourselves, everybody, on a scale of 1 to 10, how coachable am I? That's it. Again, there's that truthful question. that we're going to keep talking about. Let's run out to North Carolina. Mr. Brian Kennedy, I know this is absolutely a subject near and dear to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, thank you, Bob. Yeah, this is. First of all, Darcy, you started this exactly where it needs to start, and that is a creation. That we are a creation in the image. We were made in God's image, and when you just stop and think about that for a second, and I work with clients all over the country in coaching, small business and life coaching and things of that nature. But one of the things that we always start with, whether they're a Christian or not, is we start with that premise. They could be someone who believes in evolution. We begin with that premise because it's a principle. If you are like your parents, just think about it. Take a look in the mirror, and you look like one of your parents. You have mannerisms like one of your parents. And I'm getting old enough that I'm even beginning to sound like my dad when he was this age. But the thing is, we're like our parents. Well, if you look at the heavenly parent, if we have those kinds of things inside of us, we're just wasting them not to move forward with them and identify them. So I congratulate you on starting this with that, because nothing is more encouraging than knowing we already have greatness in us. Now it's just a matter of following the principles. And that was the other point that you made, is that following principles never, ever change. I mean, we can look at presidents of the United States back, for as long as you can remember. How many presidents have we had? They've all changed, but the principles don't change. Even though they may do things for or against the principle, it doesn't matter. The principles are always there for us to come back to or get to, and the principle is what we should be focusing on. And when you get to that wall that you've got to climb, it's almost like fear. But something that I heard not too long ago was that fear is nothing more than like a hologram. At the front, it really looks like something, but when you look behind it, there's nothing there. So that's the encouragement to go back to the principles, and I really appreciate the way you did this webinar this morning. It's perfect, and thank you so much for emphasizing principles and the greatness that's inside of each one of us, albeit all different, but we all have greatness inside of us just to reach in and tap. Thank you.
That's great. And Brian, thanks for those comments. That's for sure. Principles are the one thing that I stick with, period, end of story. That's it. And let me give you an example. And Scott Landsberg, he's asked a question on Facebook. If someone has been in a state of confusion and doubt and is believing in the lies, and it's been a lifetime of thinking of them, or 10 to 20 years, this isn't going to change overnight. Absolutely, it's not going to change overnight. That's why this wasn't a hypey thing. This is a lifestyle thing. Let me just explain to you how, like, for instance, the story of the king right here. It wasn't like immediately that he took off the mask and said, oh, gee, I'm supposed to be a king, and he knew how to act like a king. He didn't know how to act like a king. So what you do is you commit to focusing on the truth until the truth is in you. And when it gets on the inside of you, then it shows up on the outside of you. So literally success is from the inside out. And so there's a verse in the Bible I live by, that's Romans 12:2, and it says transformation comes. So you're wanting to transform your life from this to this, right? Transformation comes from the renewing of the mind. So renew, we learned means go back to the new, the way it was supposed to be in the very beginning. So you renew, and when I did this, okay, when our family, the Hoffman family, did this 17 years ago, and our income quadrupled and everything changed, we went and renewed our mind literally to what, Brian, you're talking about, to this and this alone. I don't care what someone says. I don't care what a psychologist or Oprah or whatever. If it doesn't line up with what my manual says, what my manufacturer says, what my designer says about my product, which is me, God Incorporated made Darcy Hoffman. And God Incorporated knew what he was thinking when he made me and how I'm best to operate as a parent, wife, businesswoman, how to serve a client. His concept is so far above man's concept of how to live. And so I just connect to the top position. I go to the penthouse of wisdom, and I go to the very top, to the one that made me, because I trust that creator of the product. If there's anyone that wants the Apple products to work, it's the Apple Corporation. Because if the Apple products don't work, who gets the bad rap? The Apple Corporation. So if anyone wants my life to work, it'd be the one that made me, and they want it to shine forward the way it's intended to be. So I would say the 10 to 20 years of wrong thinking if I'm walking south for 10 to 20 years, I'm walking south, and I turn around and I start walking north, it doesn't matter if I walk south for 20 years. I am now walking north. So that's why I said I don't care what happened yesterday or for the last 50 years for that matter. Today is a day that you can decide to change and repent, go to that top position, change the way you think about yourself. And let me tell you one other thing, and then I want Teresa Wright Johnson to talk because she's got her hand up. Teresa, I see you. So get ready, Teresa, open up your line. But I'm going to give you an analogy that will help you. John is a pilot, and when you become a pilot, you first learn to fly a plane with your eyesight. You see the runway, you see yourself taking off, you see the clouds, you see everything. And then you go to another level of being a pilot called IVR. What that means is you are flying without sight. They literally put a mask over your eye, and then you can't look out the window. You can't see you can't see anything but the instruments. And this is why the instruments are the principles that Brian's talking about. The instruments are what you have to trust. Now, when you're in a storm in a plane, you literally could be going absolutely straight for landing right dead into the earth, but you feel like you're going across the horizon. Your feelings say, I'm going across the horizon. I'm going vertical to or horizontal to the earth. But your plane is actually going straight vertically into the ground, but you feel like you're not. So what you do when you have a feeling, and this is answering Scott Lansford's question, if you have a feeling that I'm no good because of those last 20 years, 50 years, whatever, you have to ignore them. So the pilot must ignore the feeling that he's going horizontal across the landscape of the earth and trust the instruments, the principles he's been trained in, and go by the instruments and land the plane literally sight unseen. When it says you're this far from the ground, even though he feels like it's the strangest experience. And I can tell you, literally, this is what I did. I said, I'm done. I'm done with living the way I have lived. I'm done. Okay, I don't want to go there. I am going to learn to live the way I was created to think, talk, act, do, everything according to my original design. My manufacturer, my master designer, because I trust that person. Another little tip here. The middle verse in the entire Bible is Psalms 118:8. Psalms 118:8, and it says simply this: if you want to live in the center of God's will, obey this one verse, and it says, trust no man, trust God. Literally. If you went from the back of the Bible to in the front, and you went into the center of the center verse, the center of the Bible, the one verse is trust no man, trust God. So I decided to trust God for the first time, really, like the real deal. And our family did, John did, I did. We taught our kids that's where it's at. Trust that. He's the one that made you. No one knows you like the one that made you. And we look at all the way products are made and by their companies and their manufacturers. That's where you go, and if something's broken down, you go to the manufacturer. It's all common sense, but I was never taught that way. Miles Monroe taught it to us this way that I'm teaching you. And so it became a lifestyle thinking. So when something came into my life, I would think what the manufacturer would want. What was I made to do? Like parenting, I'd have a struggle, or sales, I would have a struggle, and I think, okay, what is the philosophy of selling? Selling is serving. Serving is presenting. Presenting is something that's good for them. If it's not good for them, then I have nothing to sell them. So I need to discover what's best for them. I need to ask questions. I need to really care. And all of a sudden, I started operating in the wisdom of how this whole thing works by the one that made people to care for people. And sales came, and recruits came, and success came. And it was like, wow, this is really as simple as it is just following the principles of the way we're designed to be. But so there's the idea that I was sharing with the pilot. must go by the instruments. The instruments are the principles. You cannot go by the feelings, because your feelings are going to say, no, you're no good. No, this isn't true. No, you're not going to make it. And this wall, these barriers are going to be talking to you. They're going to want to keep you where you're at. So it is a fight, and I call it the good fight of faith. That means having faith in the instruments, the principles, versus faith in your feelings. So I teach my kids, don't go by feelings. Don't go by how your mood and your emotions. You cannot trust those. You have to live your life by principles. So, Teresa, over to you.
Absolutely. Darcy, I want to say this webinar came at a perfect time for me anyway, because this is November, and I usually start in November reflecting on everything that has occurred, that's happened for me throughout the year, and why I'm not where I should be or where I had, envisioned myself to be, what was holding me back. And you hit some strong nerves for me, like what baggage am I carrying that's weighing me down, and why have I become comfortable with where I am? And we should never be comfortable with where we are. And so now is really the time to take inventory as we move into 2016. The time to set your goals and your dreams and aspirations for the new year is not when the new year gets here, but really for me, I say November time frame, so that when January gets here, you're prepared. So these are some tough questions that we all have to ask ourselves. But the best part about it is that we get to wake up each day with a clean canvas. We get to start again. If it wasn't right the first time we feel it wasn't right, it's okay. We get to really make it better. And that's why I put up my affirmation, my breaking out of average affirmation, because, I'm being transparent. I have those tough times where I say, why am I not where I should be? And I realize I'm not where I should be because sometimes God is preparing me to get where He wants me to be. It's not where I want to be, but where He wants me to be. And I've got to learn the lessons. I've got to do the right thing so that He can move me forward, so that I'm able to handle what He's about to give me. And so I put on our site my breaking out of the average affirmation, which simply says, I will never become the definition of what someone else said I should be. I was born to inspire people and teach possibilities. I was born for greatness, and that can never be changed. I will always speak to my mountain and make it bow down to me. Yes, I will hit some speed bumps along the way, but I will continue to be the woman that God purposed me to be. I was made, designed, and created for such a time as this. And, that being my affirmation, that is also everything that, the Hoffmans have taught me. They have instilled in me to always realize that there's greatness within me. Dr. Miles Monroe said the same thing. And so, believing it and understanding that your past does not have to dictate your future, and that we can be anything that we want to be. We're the seed of Abraham. And so, therefore, anything we want, we can have. It's just a matter, for me, adjusting my crown of favor and moving forward. Back to you, Darcy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, you said something. If just because it's there for you, just because it's been supplied to you, doesn't mean you will have it in your life, because it's those who believe will receive. And so it's the believing part that's the problem, and that's where at first it's odd. It's very crazy. It's like I am saying these things about myself, like the what you just shared, Teresa. At first, I remember saying things that I was like, okay, all right, and I would say them with not much excitement, but I knew I had to start speaking what is the truth about what my master builder said about me and what he designed me for. And I would always go, well, I don't know how I'm going to succeed in this area, but I know I was created for success. So I am going, and I was supplied with the wisdom. In other words, the product itself has never been asked to do something it didn't have in its design. So I want you to understand, anything you were created to do, a parent, a success, to provide for your family, to be a leader in your community with Legal Shield. Whatever you were created to be, whatever you were, you're called to be, everything is in you to do it. So it'd be just like anybody who made anything, put in it the thing to do what it was made to do. So that was the one little thing I kept thinking about. Okay, I already have it. It's in my design. I have the wisdom. I just don't believe it. My problem was in believing it and then acting on it. So if I believe it, then I will act on it and do something. I will go see that client that I'm scared of because I don't think I'm worthy. I will walk in and say, I'm really, and be honest. And that's the other thing, be yourself. I'm really afraid to talk to you. I've been wanting to talk to you for 6 months or 3 years or 5 years, whatever. And I have just been so afraid, but I really love what I do, love my service, love my company, and I hope that you will give me the time to share what's in my heart about why I think you would want to know about what I'm doing. And you come from that place. You come from a place of integrity and honesty and transparency, and people want to do business with real, authentic people. And you can be set free from all that junk that, you know, I always think of one last story is when David was going to go fight Goliath. Goliath is 9 foot tall. Everybody's freaking out. Oh, Goliath is so big and he's so bad. And he's, oh, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And David is like, what's the problem? God is with me, so I want to go out and just get rid of this guy, get rid of this mountain, right? God is with me. So why are we afraid of this guy? He doesn't have God. I have God. So what's the problem here? Why am I afraid to go talk to that person? Why am I afraid to go to this? If you're operating in integrity and you know who you're operating for, you're going to go and do anything, because why not? Well, what happens was David goes out there to go kill Goliath, but Saul, the king at the time, he's still wrapped up in the things of the world, and you got to have the world stuff and this and that, so he wants to put a helmet and a breastplate and all these guard things and the sword and put all the world stuff on top of David. And David is, you know, like weighed down with this helmet and this shield and these breastplates and all this armor that he puts on him. And he's like, I can't do this with all this stuff. I don't know what you're doing. You're sticking all this stuff on me. Get rid of it. I have God. So what's your problem? And he takes all the junk of the world off of him, all the little, you know, you got to have a degree. You got to have this. You got to have that, or else you can't succeed. And all those things and things and things. And you got to go through this training and that training. You really just need to honor people and treat them right and be a person of integrity and walk with excellence. You just got to go do it. Is what you got to do. And you're thinking that you need this and this and this and this and this is all this armor to be successful. So David just gets rid of all that junk and he says, I have God. God is with me. So why would I not be able to walk out and go towards Goliath and take care of business? And of course he does with his little stone and his little what's that, slingshot. So he goes out there, and there's the thing. That's called belief. That's called David who believes, and the others did not believe. So he understood who was with him, who was taking him forward, who was going to walk with him, like Teresa, the affirmation you had. You understand where you came from and out of who you came from and who you're made to be like. And therefore, you're like, whoa, whoa. If I'm made here, right here in this image, like, oh, my goodness, then all wisdom, all understanding is in me. I just don't believe it. I just got to start believing it. I got to and seek it and go study to show yourself approved type stuff. But anyways, that's the final story, the David and Goliath. Don't let the world, don't let the junk, don't let the lie that you need this, this, and this to be complete. You are complete. You just don't believe it. So you are the king, and you can reign in your life. You just have to, you know, go back to your top position of the truth about you. So, Bob, I'm going to let you close it with any final comments, and it was a blessing to be able to share with you, and let's go reign in this life as we were meant to be and change and make a difference.
Absolutely. Great topic, Darcy. Thank you for all that you do, and we could have a whole training just on you've got to ignore your feelings. You know, I don't feel like going to that event. I don't feel like getting out of my comfort zone. Folks, if you can just get that nugget right there and just do it, follow the principles of success that we've been sharing here, it all absolutely will work out for you. So, Darcy, we had record numbers. You know, I'm looking at the total attendees, so congratulations to yourselves, especially West Coast, for getting up early here, starting off your Friday in a great way. East Coast, you know, you've already got a jump on the West Coast folks, so no reason why you can't get at it right now as soon as we hang up. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, share this webinar. You know, have a goal to share this with at least 5 of your associates. Pick up the phone, let them know about today's topic by you know, send them the link, show them how to get to it there over at ShieldNation, and we'll, you know, Trish will have this up here in just a little bit. Give her a few hours to do that. And no webinar next week because of Thanksgiving. So everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving break. But do keep in mind it's a shorter week with the company being closed there on Thursday and Friday. So crucial. You know, early part of the week is very important. Get your memberships in and such, and that way you won't get caught behind. Thanks again to everybody, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.